Hi, Mr. Shum. This is Maria. Just giving you a call to let you know that this morning I overheard Courtney yelling in the bathroom that she was mad, that she was mad. And because I was the last person to use the shower, I came over to check and see what was going on. What did I do wrong? And what she told me was that somebody put bleach in her, I guess her hand soap, which she was using to wash her dog. And I said, I don't, I said, let me smell it because I don't really think anybody here would do anything like that. And so after a little bit, she let me smell it. And to me, it didn't smell like bleach at all. It smelled like when you buy like cheap soap or stuff, name store brand soap or some store brand items from the dollar stores and places like that. They do smell a little weird, but it did not smell at all like bleach. You could smell like some type of astringent material. And so I told her about that, and I told her, just colloquially, that's why I don't buy things, from the dollar store when it comes to soaps and things like that. I'm very careful with it. And so I said, well, look, I have some really good, and she told me that she didn't put it in there, that her mom actually refilled that bottle. She didn't buy it or whatever. And I said, okay, not a problem. I said, you know what? I have some really great smelling dish detergent. I have a whole huge bottle. She said it was dish detergent that her mom put in there. I said, I have a whole huge, and it's pink, but it's what she has is pink, but it's not Palmolive. You can tell that it's a store brand. And, like I said, I've used that type before and I never used it again. So that's why I knew. And I told her that I had a really huge bottle of dish detergent. And she was more, and it smells really good. And so I was like, you're more than welcome to refill it with this if you like. And I said, honestly, I don't think anybody in this house would do anything like that. And I just told her, sometimes those things are a little cheap and you have to be careful and pick and choose what you purchase because it smells funny, and maybe perhaps that's the reason her mom put that in there because she was trying to get rid of it. And I gave her an example and I told her, I buy my shampoos and conditioners from the dollar store. Some of them are absolutely awesome and work really great on my hair, and then there's others that don't. And I actually bought her over samples to show her the difference between it. And I told her to smell this. It smells really, really good. And I smelled it again. I was like, actually, it doesn't smell the same as I first bought it because again, it's a dollar store item. If you left it out for a while, sometimes it gets like that. But to make a long story short, and then I offered her, and I said, also I would suggest, maybe just have Mr. Shum smell it. Don't throw it away. Have Mr. Shum smell it because I really don't think it smells like bleach at all. Or and have the other lady that stays here to smell it. you know, and then again trying to just find a resolution and just to assure her that it's not bleach in there. I have a bottle that was bleach under my counter, and I said, here, this is bleach that I have. And I smelled it, and it didn't smell like bleach at all. It almost smelled like water, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And so I said, here, smell this. And she smells it, and I was like, I can't smell anything at all, maybe because it's so old. But then I realized just now that that bottle is actually old, and I think I probably did refill it with water. And then there was a bottle of bleach that I saw beside the TV that had like a flower, and I said, smell this, let's smell this, maybe this is it. And then no, it didn't smell like the bleach at all. So I did everything to try to appease her. I don't know, if there's, I mean, just quite honestly, I don't know what, I don't think it, just to keep it simple, I don't think anybody in this house would do anything like that. um and I don't think anybody's that crazy that they would do anything like that. But then I kind of try to leave it on a nice note and left it at. She was just like, well, how are you, how are you? And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had walked away, and I was like, oh, this, I'm fine. I just wanted to just let I told you, I found out what the problem was, that you were screaming back here, and that it was an issue with, you said it was, I thought it
You
was
have reached
bleach.
the maximum time permitted to record.
All right. So, anyways, as y'all heard, there was an issue this morning, and I think this issue was something that was generated by the other young lady that lives here. I used the shower this morning. I'm the last person to use it. I heard her screaming, "I'm mad! I'm mad!" I thought it was the other young lady screaming that she was mad, and I thought that maybe I left the shower somehow in disarray, that I did something wrong. So I went back and I asked. I said, hey, did I do something wrong? She was like, I don't know, but there's bleach in my dishwashing, my soap, and I was using it to wash my dog. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't think anybody here would do anything like that. Let me smell it. It didn't smell like bleach. And I think basically it was just a way for her to get me riled up to try to get me pulled into that, because I addressed that it didn't smell like bleach, and then I offered her to wash her dog in my dish detergent if she wanted to, and it smelled really good. Y'all heard the whole thing that I was saying. But then at the end of that, after I started to walk off, when I thought it was done, because I have other stuff, as y'all know, to do today, she asked me, she was just like, hey, once I had already turned the corner, is everything okay? And I was just like, oh, sure, everything's fine. I just wanted to find out why you were screaming, and to address, whatever the issue was. And she was like, no, I mean everything with you personally. And I was like, why would you ask me something like that? And she was just like, because you've been acting different. And I was like, what do you mean I've been acting different? And she was just like, oh, the past few days. And I was like, oh, because I've been pretty busy. I'm not so happy with my career, lack of career. And I'm just working on that. I'm focused on working on that. And then she says, well, I don't think you're a happy person. I don't think you're a happy person. I really don't want you to be here anymore. I was like, okay. And so then I was like, I am happy. I'm fine. I'm just focused on my goals. That's all it is. I'm focused on working on my goals. And when it gets like that, I'm kind of to myself. And I told her, again, colloquially, which I shouldn't have done. I was just like, over the past couple of days, I couldn't really do that because I'm working because it's holidays. So because it's holidays, I can't do any of that, because there's no businesses to call or anything like that. But anyway, she turned it into something that it completely was not. My relationship with the owner is not where, he doesn't have patience to listen. And so, basically he has a relationship with her. They go out and do things together. So that's how it goes. But when she called me back, I think the initial thing was, again, to draw alarm, because knowing my personality type, I'm going to go to see what's going on. And then when I left, she called me back to, that was her way of bringing me back into it so that she could say something personal to get a response out of me. But what she was saying, none of it was true. So it didn't get a response out of me at all. But anyhow, I still got to do what I got to do. Still getting ready to get dressed. So pretty much that's about it. And yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But from this point forward, and I started using that bathroom again to take my showers and stuff, because, I felt as the owner, he shouldn't have to share his bathroom. But I just mentioned to him too, again, I think I'll just start using his, because I don't want any situation like that. I don't ever want to feel that way at all. So, and then another thing that she mentioned that was kind of odd was, like, she had mentioned a couple weeks ago that her window was open and there was a pillow on it or something like that. And I was like, that, or her window was closed and there was a pillow on it when she left it open. And she thought that was kind of weird. It weirded her out. And I was like, oh, and she asked me, did I do it or did the other lady do it? And I was like, no, I don't have any, no, I wouldn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And I was like, and I wouldn't do that. And then, I was like, well, maybe the landlord, went in there for a reason. And she just laughed. And so when she laughed, I thought that maybe she was in agreement that maybe he did. When I came back out of being a good roommate and trying to find out what was going on, I actually went to him and I asked him, hey, did this young lady mention anything to you about her window being open and a pillow being on the window when she was gone? And she says to me, and he says to me, well, something like that. And I was like, yeah, she said that to me. And she said that she felt pretty weird about it. And she asked me about it. And I was like, no, I didn't do that. And then, I left it at that. He didn't say anything else. So I went back into my room. Then I thought about it. And I thought about the situations with the old roommate. And I was like, I need to find out if there was something more said, because he will not tell you unless you ask him. So I went back and I was just like, just out of curiosity, did she say anything else to you about that? And he was like, well, she mentioned you. And I was like, what? And I was like, well, I asked her, I said, maybe you went, maybe you went in there because, to look at something or whatever. And he was just like, no, we went fishing together all day. They were gone since 5 a.m. So at that point, I'm a little bit angry at her, because I'm like, I'm here trying to find out what happened to your window like you are. And, I mentioned that possibly it was the landlord, and she knew all along that it wasn't. But instead of responding, no, it wasn't him because I was fishing with him, she just said, laugh out loud. So I went to her and I said, well, I spoke to Mr. Shum. He told me that, you all were fishing all day today. So it wasn't him. And I said, as far as the other lady, I don't know, if she did or not, because I don't even speak to her, but I know for certain that I don't. I would not have went in there, and I wanted to let you know for sure. And she went into this whole thing about how she didn't ask the other lady, blah, 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 because she didn't want to knock on her door, blah, blah, blah. She's right next door to her. But anyways, this has been a week or so ago. A couple days ago, I bumped into the lady, and I just mentioned it to her because I wanted everything to be clear. I mentioned to her, and she was like, yeah, and she could, I guess, sense there was some negativity with it. And she was like, yeah, she saw the dog shivering, so she went to close the window. And I said, did she ever ask you about it? She said, no, you know. So I'm like, wow. So this woman, she asked me about it. I responded. According to the landlord, she mentioned me to him regarding it, but she says that she didn't say anything about me at all. And, so it's just, she said she didn't say anything about it at all. And then she says that she didn't mention it to the other lady, but the other lady came to her and said it to her. But when I spoke to so there's dishonesty going some kind of way. I don't know if it's just focusing on her or maybe just in general, because when I spoke to the other lady, she said, no, the girl didn't mention it to her. And so I guess it was like she didn't know. So I told her, I said, about your window. And I'm sure she overheard when I told the landlord about your window. I spoke to the other lady, and she said that she saw the dog, it was shivering. And so she closed it. And she was like, oh, she told me that, something, she told me that, blah, blah, blah. I didn't ask her, but she told me. And she made it seem like she told her a while back. But when I talked to her just a couple of days ago, it was like it had never been said. But anyhow, like I said, my goal is to focus on my goals, do all the due diligence with everything in life. Life can be tricky sometimes. I enjoy it. So I'm about to, because I think I might wear shorts today because it's kind of hot. So I'm about to shave up a little, something like that, and head out to do those things. So anyways,